Hi, thanks very much. Yes, I work for a small non-profit Swedish organisation called Vetenskap och allmänhet. In English, we call ourselves VA Public and Science. And its purpose is to promote dialogue and openness between researchers and the public. We do lots of different kinds of projects, from studies and surveys to advocacy work and public engagement projects, both national and European. And one of our main roles is sort of acting as a hub for science communication and public engagement in Sweden. And we've been running citizen science projects in the form of mass experiments since 2009, and they're primarily aimed at engaging pupils in real research projects, but the nature of the projects means that often members of the public can participate too. And we run them in collaboration between ourselves and a university. We do sort of the project management communications aspect, and then work together with a researcher at a university who's responsible for the research project and conducting the analysis. So I wanted to give you just a flavour of some of our citizen science projects, and I thought I'd use a few props to help illustrate these. So first up, if you can see, this is my star spotting tube. So last year we ran the star spotting experiment, which is all about investigating light pollution. So participants had to make this simple measuring tube like this one, through which they could count the stars that they could see in various different directions. And the data was submitted via an app, which calculated the light pollution where they were standing. And part of the aim of the project was to comparing the results we obtained using this very simple method with results obtained using other methods like satellites. My second little prop, if you can see, is a little ladybird. There we go. And this was the ladybird experiment. And participants had to find ladybirds, take pictures, upload them to an app which used AI to identify different species of ladybirds and give sort of researchers a better understanding of the diversity of ladybirds across Sweden. And next we have tea bags. So as part of our climate change related mass experiment, we got pupils burying tea bags all across the country. And then they were dug up 3 months later, and they were weighed them to see how much they'd decomposed. So this was about investigating soil decomposition rates in different parts of the country and how the process is being affected by climate change. And then the last thing, my little son's little Playmobil Cannon. So this is the Finding the Vasa Cannon project, which is an international project that's currently underway. Those of you who've been to Stockholm might have visited the Vasa Museum. The Vasa is a huge Swedish warship that sank in Stockholm harbour on her maiden voyage in 1628, and she was salvaged in the 1960s, but only 3 of 64 cannons were found. So we're trying to find out what happened to the rest of the cannons. Were they sold and preserved, and where are they? So there are 3 parts to this project. We've got there's an underwater survey to see if any are still on the seabed. There's archival research in Sweden, the UK, Netherlands and Denmark to try and trace what happened to the cannons. And the third part's a global citizen science project. So we'll be asking people around the world to upload them to a database and take pictures of cannons that they find and upload them. So that gives a flavour of sort of the diversity of topics that we work with. We run most of our mass experiments as part of European Research Night activities in Sweden. And particularly when we're seeking to engage schools, we select projects that fit really well into the school curriculum. And we produce teachers' resources around them too. And we usually get between 3,000 to 6,000 pupils involved in our experiments. One year I think we got 10,000. And lots of them have sort of a sustainability link. So they link really well to the Sustainable Development Goals. They increasingly make use of technology. So yeah, using mobile phones, apps and things, which are obviously a great tool for citizen science. And many are national, but we also run them internationally with partners. So the star spotting experiment was run together with the Natural History Museum in the UK and University College Cork and Trinity College in Ireland, and also with some Spanish partners. So we're always open to new partnerships. So why use citizen science for public engagement? Well, we find they're really scalable projects. They can be run at a local level, national, international, and they usually attract really great media coverage. And also we really try and find ways to kind of establish two-way dialogue between the researchers and participants. It isn't easy, and we'd like to do more of this and find different ways to do that. But for example, researchers answer questions via a Facebook page. We often do a live Q&A with the researcher, and they also usually do a tour visiting a selection of schools. And then once the results have been analysed, a popular science report is produced that can be shared with all the participants so they can learn more about the results and how successful the experiment was. So we ensure that all participants get some kind of feedback. COVID certainly brought a few challenges. This year we were meant to be running the housing experiment, which involved young people visiting the elderly to investigate the accessibility of their homes, but obviously reasons that has not been able to go ahead. Instead, we've been running the food waste experiment. So that's testing a way to reduce food waste in schools. So by providing pupils with information about menu choices, so the climate footprint of the food they're eating and the nutritional content. And so part of that project's getting pupils to take photos of their plates of food before and after their lunch. Again, a few challenges. There's been more COVID restrictions in Sweden recently, meant younger kids haven't been able to, who would have shared school iPads and things like that, haven't been able to participate so much. But we've been trying to find ways around to make it work, and the project's running at the moment. So what I wanted to finally say was, although the pandemic's brought various challenges, I think there are lots of ways to make citizen science projects work, particularly when there's no school trips taking place. For example, it's a great way of bringing science, like the real world, real research into the classroom. And it's also worth saying, with people spending more time at home, certain citizen science projects have found a rise in the number of people engaging in their projects, sorts of wanting to do something to help out and become more informed about certain issues. So I'll finish there. Please feel free to ask questions. I'll add more links in the chat as well, and please feel free to get in touch if you want to find out more. Thank you.